Hey guys, I wanted to show you guys today how I edit a video. What I always start with is making the scoreboard for each game. So I use Keynote, which is basically PowerPoint, and I go in here and I make all the scoreboards. You can see I have them for a bunch of old games, most of them from Dallas games, and then I have a couple new ones here. Last game was the Aardvarks against the Greens. I was on the Aardvarks, which I always put first, the team that I'm on. And then you can see the other game I played here that I uploaded earlier, which is Brooklyn against the Last Resort. That's their team name. I always make the background color the color of the jersey, and then I try and match the secondary color, the text color, to whatever the number color is on the jersey. And I go through and I make the scoreboard for every single goal for every period. So I can show you what that looks like here. We have 0-0 in the first, and then you can see how the score progressed throughout the game. Eventually, we lost in overtime, but you'll see that when I show you how to edit the video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select and copy the name of the folder that I have, and I'll open up Final Cut and we'll create a new project, and I just call it the same exact name. I just paste that in there and I import all of the files from that folder. So we go into Prospect Park 1, I just click the folder. I'll show you what's in there now so you can see. I separate the footage by camera so that way I can keep track of it better. Anyway, I have all those files in there. I have all the scoreboards. So all I have to do is click this folder, which has everything I need in it, and I press import all. So now I have all of the video files I need, and I have all of the scoreboards that I need. Now what I do is I figure out which was the camera on my side, and I always put that one on the timeline first, in the main timeline. So I always try and find the puck drop, which was there, but I think that's good enough. I'll cut it there, and you can see on the sound bar here, most of the noise started happening right at this point. So I'm going to cut it there and delete that first portion. I don't need it. Now, all of this footage is good. And we're going to take the first clip of the other camera, which I tried to schedule to start around the same time, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to find that point, which seems to be about here, just by looking at the sound, and we'll just cut it there. So I do Command B. I'm sure there are more efficient ways to do what I'm doing, but this is the best way I've found. Now that we have these two clips lined up, well, all I have to do is go and add in the next clip or two or however many from the other camera and just plop it right down. And now all of the footage is perfectly aligned. So what I usually do now is I go to the end and I just see, where did the game end? Okay, so we didn't have any shots in overtime. They scored on their first shot. Not great, but then I always keep in a little bit of the handshake line after. So I cut right there, and then just delete that last portion. I don't need it. What I always do is I have these labels. I'll show you in the roles. And then usually in the audio, you can see a blip where the end of the period horn goes off. So I see that, and I know the period's over. So I click both using Command click, select them both, cut them there. And then I can cut out all the footage between periods. So I scroll all the way over. I see when this period starts. I'm just going to do it by the clock. I guess another way I could have aligned the two videos earlier is by the clock. They would have been within a second of each other. But when I was in Dallas, you couldn't see the scoreboard from both cameras. So again, we'll cut the footage. And then we'll jump to when overtime begins, which is right there. And cut it there. And then we can select both these clips and get rid of them. I always do Shift Delete so that it maintains this space between the two sets of clips so I can keep the periods separate. And now I select the top and bottom clips. I can assign audio roles, and I'm going to call this one first period. This one's the second period. There we go. This one's third period. And I don't have one for overtime. I'm just going to call this one shootout. In Dallas, we didn't have overtime, but we do in New York. All right, and then what I do, now that we've assigned all the video roles, you'll be able to see them, is I'm going to edit the first period first. So I select first period. The other thing I remember, and that I do when I play on a team that I don't really care to keep every one of my team's shots, is if I know my team doesn't score a goal, I just delete that portion. So we didn't score a goal in the first period, delete. I don't need that. All I need is the footage of shots on me. And then the second period, if I want to do the same thing, my team's shooting in the main timeline clip. So I'm going to disable the one on top just so I can look at the other one. And I remember we scored goals with about 3 minutes left and then 2 minutes 30. So I'm going to zoom in. I usually do 15-second intervals just by default. I think it's easier. We should score a goal soon. It's coming. Yep, there we go. Saw the puck in the net. So I'm going to zoom out, or not zoom out, but go back, make that cut there. I know I don't need anything before that. So before I do that, I'll get the clip of the goal. So we'll press play, shot went in, usually give a couple seconds after, cut it there. Great. And then we're going to score another goal in a second. Here's what I do. When I have a clip in my main timeline I want to get rid of, I always hold down Shift and then press Delete so it doesn't get rid of the clip on top. I'll show you what happens if you just press Delete on the selection. It totally gets rid of whatever was on top and messes up the whole timeline. See how this doesn't go to the end now? Yeah, that caused an issue. So I'm going to do Command Z, undo that. And if I do Shift Delete, nothing changed on the top. The two clips are aligned. We don't have that issue. Another couple things that I do is, one, I rename all of the clips where a goal is scored. So since we scored a goal here, I'm going to call it goal 3-1. I just do goal and then the score. So same thing with this one, goal 3-2. So I'm going to select both of these right now and then assign the roles to goal. Okay, also we don't need this part of the clip because we didn't score there. So again, Shift Delete, it's gone, but the timeline's maintained. Put a little cut at the beginning and the end, because right now that blank space joined with the blank space we had between periods, I like to re-separate them, and I'll show you why. I'm going to make cuts. I don't think I saw a shot between those goals, but just in case, I'll keep it in. I'm going to get rid of this little section where we scored, get rid of this one too, and now I'm going to drag these big chunks of game where I was on the other end of the ice. I'm going to put them in the main timeline after that little gray section. So everything's still aligned properly, but then I'm only going to have one, you'll see eventually I'll only have one strip of video, which is easier for editing. Now I have everything all on one timeline. So now the timeline's all cleaned up, and here we go. I'm just going to go through the rest of the game and I'll show you how I edit. I gave up a goal on the first shot of the game. They didn't have a shot before that, so they came into the zone, fine. And here they go, they took a slap shot and scored. So I'll cut it here. Another thing I do, so I can keep track of where to put the scoreboards, is I add a marker. I just press M twice and then it pops up the little text box. So I type in first period and leave it there. All right. Now this guy took a shot, slap shot, I missed it. Anyway, there we go. I'll rename it goal 1-0. Perfect. Assign it the goal label. Now it gets dark because it's not the first period label anymore, even though it did happen in the first period. And then I'll go and do the rest of the shots. So here we get a face off, and what I like to do is I don't really care about anything that happens before the ref drops it. So I just, press the wrong button. I just cut it there and I press delete to get rid of all that footage I don't need anymore. If I had footage above it, I'd use Shift Delete if I were editing both sides. Anyway, so I'll play the video, I see the shot, I caught the puck, hear the whistle, cut. Jump to the next part. They really like to drop the puck quickly in this league. And then I don't really care too much about watching everything. So sometimes I'll just skip watching myself make a save, as long as I know I'm getting the clip I want. So there, I didn't know if they'd get a shot on net, so I didn't bother cutting at the face-off. But now that I know that I covered the puck a little bit later, I'm going to include it. There we go. Whistle, cut. Now we're at the point where all the clips are edited, everything's cut down, and we need to add the scoreboards in before we can render it. First I go to Index and I just click Goal. Now I know where all the goals happen and where the scoreboard needs to change. So I zoom in here to the same depth that we had before, and I just drag that first scoreboard in 0 to 0 in the first period. I bring it so that it ends when the puck goes in the net. That's when people mentally register that's a goal. And then I drag the next scoreboard on. Well, then it's going to be 1-0 in the first period. That'll go all the way to the end of the period because no one else scored. Great. So all the ones in regulation, I'm going to highlight. We have to open up this little settings tab. Now, see how it's covering the whole screen right now? What we're going to do is we're going to change the scale. I always do 25%. That's way smaller now. All right, now we can reposition it. We don't want it in the middle. Usually I put it in the corners. And I'm going to want to make sure this scoreboard's visible on both cameras. So let's jump to the second period. Okay, now the scoreboard's on the left. I don't want to cover this scoreboard, and I want to have mine in the upper left. So what I usually do is I do minus 1300 here, and then I go up 900 for Y. Great. Now both scoreboards are visible, no matter what camera you're looking at. Because I have so many final scores, well, I've gotten used to this. The zoom, because it's wider with the extra 2 characters in final, I zoom out less. I do 28.35%, and then I do minus 1235 for X, and still the same 900 for Y. And that gets it to line up with the third. Okay, so now we have the scoreboards all set. We can just render the video and upload it. Nothing special here. I don't need to be at the beginning, I just like to. I click the arrow, MP4, next, and then I save it in the same place where I have all the video files. So I press save, and that's it. Now it's rendering. Well, that's all I got. I hope that this is helpful for video editing, and I will see you guys in the next video, which will be this one fully edited.